Nelson and Murdock. Avocados at law.
So this week, we finally got the season finale of Daredevil Born Again. And woo! What a joyride that was.
It's a very bittersweet ride because we got to the end and it was quite emotional. But man, what a freaking ride! Spade was looking for that hype in me. Now we have to wait only a year. Now 2026. Daredevil Born Again season 2. Daredevil season 5.
So, like Pancake said, yes. So the show director, his name escapes me, but he said
they had a few directors or the showrunner.
Well, yeah, that's okay. So the showrunner, he stated that we will be getting season 2 in March of 2026. But before we get to that, because that's a year away, let's talk about the last 4 episodes.
5 episodes.
5 episodes? 5 episodes.
Yeah.
The last 5 episodes, because we did a mid-season. So let's just do a end season.
And check out our previous review of episodes 1 through 4, especially when we talk about Foggy's death. But go back in the archives.
Yeah. So okay. So in season 1 of episode 5, we finally get what a lot of people started calling a filler episode.
If that's a filler, it might be one of the best fillers
ever. Yeah.
Because essentially, Matt was Daredevil in this episode without having the costume on.
Agreed. So tell us, Pancakes. Run us through what exactly happened in episode 5.
We got it felt like a crossover or seeds planted with Miss Marvel because we had the dad.
Yusuf, I think his name was.
Yeah, he was great in that episode. It may seem random, but I think he's going to be the mentor of like a young Avenger / West Coast. But
you know what? I never thought of that. That kind of makes sense. Like the father figure for the whole team. Yeah, that.
But episode 5 served this purpose. Like it gave us a breath, but we still got a lot of action. It felt like very Dog Day Afternoon in a way, like the bank hostage. But it was an interesting bank robbery because there wasn't really much the bank held. But they were looking for a particular ruby, if you want to call it. It looked like an Infinity Stone.
Well, now that you mention Infinity Stone, let me bring up something so everyone can see. So we see this right here. We've got every single color of the Infinity Stone. And I don't know what Marvel's trying to do. Maybe they just so happened to do that. Or maybe they just wanted to give everybody a different color to make them feel special. Now, this episode takes place during St. Patrick's Day.
On St. Patrick's Day.
Well, I was going to say during St. Patrick's Day parade.
Exactly.
Because that's when it was happening. That's why it was all going crazy. But basically what happens, just a quick rundown. Matt Murdock is just going to the bank to get a loan. And
which he gets denied at first.
He gets denied, yeah. So, and he gets caught up in this little mess where everyone is just trying to rob the bank. And they're robbing the bank, like Pancake said, for a stone. Fast forward, shenanigans happen. He takes them all out without them even realizing that Daredevil took them out.
One thing I love about the original show and they continue in this show is like when the camera zooms in on Matt and they focus on his enhanced senses. He was taking out the robbers one by one. And Matt was playing chess while they were playing checkers. But when he got to the ringleader, when he was slick, he had the police uniform underneath
to escape everything.
Matt hunted him down like a motherfucker. And how he broke this leg was,
I still feel it to this day.
It was grueling.
Yeah.
I was in pain. We were all in pain watching that part.
Yeah.
But an excellent episode to kind of transition from the first half to the second half. But for a filler, not at all. It just put emphasis on Matt being able to continue his struggle, but he really wants to put on the costume again, which we're about to talk about in episode 6.
Right. So in episode 6, he ends up putting on the costume only because Angela Del Toro,
yeah,
who is the White Tiger's niece, she gets caught by Muse. And because of that, towards the end of the episode, Matt puts on the costume in order to go save her.
But man, he puts on that costume in a big way. One of my favorite scenes, I don't know how you feel about it, is when Muse comes out of his hideout and he sees the subway and the red light, and all of a sudden he sees Daredevil coming right towards him.
Yeah, that was cool.
That fight sequence, and then how he's torturing him. Like, I thought he was gonna take out Muse right there, but he had to save her because she was gonna be the latest villain, but then
victim.
Excuse me, the villain. Butcher of words. Butcher of words.
Destroyer of words. Okay.
T-shirts.
So like he was saying, basically what happened was the whole episode, Matt is trying to he's doing his research and everything to find out where she went, where Muse is hiding everyone. So what does he do? He finally finds where he thinks it's going to be, runs after, finds Muse, starts having a fight with Muse. He ends up running away, and then he, as in Daredevil, he then saves Angela from death. The next episode, though, which is episode 7, is the grand fight, right? The grand fight between Muse and between Daredevil.
So, like, Muse has been lurking in the background, but he slowly comes to the forefront. We find out how much of a serial killer. I think they said he had 60 kills.
Yeah, 60 or 80, something like that.
Yeah, like we saw the 2 fangirls who approached him while he was doing his job, and then you see how he kills them.
Yep.
Like we mentioned in the first video, how sick he is to use their blood on their paintings. Now, because of Muse, technically Daredevil and Kingpin were on the same side, but doing things in their own way, and that leads to Kingpin finding out Daredevil's back.
Well, yes. But slightly before that, we find out that Muse and Kingpin and Vanessa and Matt are all interconnected. Why? Because one is dating the psychiatrist who is also the doctor of both Kingpin and Muse and Vanessa.
Yeah.
What a small world New York City is.
But Muse was stalking her, going back to that first episode
where he wanted to sign the book, yes.
Yeah. And then she slowly realizes, oh no, how do I get out of this? And he's like, your first door is to run, shoves her into the door to knock her out.
Right.
Do you think in that moment when Matt speaks to her as Daredevil that she suspects that's Matt?
Honestly,
because he really doesn't do anything to cover up his voice.
No, he doesn't. But then again, at the same time, though, she was also knocked out.
Yeah,
she was coming to. She could have heard anything at that point, so you don't know what exactly is going on.
Now, did you like that it was her that put down Muse?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because we know that Matt is not going to kill anybody.
Right.
And she pulled out the gun and she was saving herself by pulling the trigger and shooting Muse a couple of times.
And you gotta like Kingpin trying to take credit for it. He didn't want to put. He tried to cover up Daredevil's return.
Right.
Even though you could clearly see in the middle of the day broken window and people saw
from the outside in.
From the outside in, and then he said, "The task force said to the leader, we took care of him. We killed him."
Right. And which kind of bothers me about this episode because we only got to really see Muse in episode 6 and 7.
Yeah.
And in 7, he's gone and done. And in my head, I was like, I thought this was the big bad for the whole season.
No.
What's going on over here? And then what happens? We get to episode 8 and we do a sort of like a full circle as to why we still see Poindexter, who is Bullseye, and why we still see him in the forefront. And guess what? The reason why is we need to find out why he killed Foggy.
That's why people, and I saw somewhere that episodes 1, 8, and 9, because of the reshoots, the revamp, is its own show.
Okay.
And it's its own thing, but I still think it does a good job of connecting everything together.
Yes.
But episode 8, oh man, we got a lot there. But you know what was cool about episode 8? You know, the mayor's ball. It kind of reminded me, and it was a throwback to season 3 finale when Kingpin and Vanessa had their wedding.
Okay.
At the hotel.
Yeah.
You had a lot of the same players, because he never got to finish that moment because.
Of course you can have the same players because the rich are going to hang out.
Of course.
With other rich.
But they never got to the moment because Bullseye or Poindexter, came in, interrupted with the Daredevil costume, and then all hell broke loose once again. But what was cool, you see Matt's lead arrival. We see Kingpin manipulating the other rich people so they would donate to the Red Hook Project.
Right.
Like, we saw him how he took Jack into the side room. That one billionaire woman who told him off a few episodes prior was scared for her life because who knew what Fisk said to her. It was episode 8 could easily... There's so many episodes you could argue this is the best episode. Maybe 8 has the best argument. But you see literally Kingpin and Matt doing this dance, trying to play chess with one another. And now Kingpin, I guess he knows about Matt's enhanced senses. He's like, what are you going to do, devil?
Yeah. And what I liked about episode 8 was the fact that, actually, let me rephrase. What I didn't like about episode 8.
What was that?
Was the fact that we went 7 episodes. 7 episodes of Matt being upset that Foggy is dead. But never once did he think, why did Poindexter try and kill him?
Because he was still going over... Oh, he didn't have a clear head. He was still going grief.
Right, no, I understand that. But it's like a year later. Remember, Foggy dies, and then a year later is when the series starts off, right?
Right.
So episode 1 through 8, it took 7 episodes for them to say, oh, you know what? I got to find out why Bullseye killed Foggy. Because right now, he really probably just thought, the only reason that Bullseye killed Foggy was because I'm Daredevil. He wanted to get to me. That's the only thing that I can think of.
Well,
and realistically,
he figured out. Well, to jump ahead a little bit, that's why he figured out. Like when Matt jumped in front of Bullseye, taking out Kingpin because he still held this grudge. Because it's Kingpin's fault why he lost his mind and went ballistic in the first place.
Right.
How he killed Judy back in season 3.
Right.
But what was cool is how Kingpin played Matt, because you saw in prison how he tied his hands and he could turn anything to a weapon. And he pissed off Matt, pushed all the right buttons, and slammed his head. I'm like, why is he happy? And he said, thank you. And he saw the tooth. And then when he's getting treatment, and he's like, and he spits it. Oh my, so well done.
Okay, so he spits his tooth into the guy, not killing him, but hurting him enough to get away from. I thought that was so clever.
Yes.
Because it's like, I'm pretty sure it's happened in the comics. I'm almost positive that's happened before. But it was so clever the way they did that he manipulated Matt into hitting him so hard that he loosens the tooth. So that way, by the time he gets sent to the back, he can take this tooth out, spit it into the guy's face, harm him in some way.
Yeah.
So that way he can find his way out.
He knew how to push the buttons. Like, do you want to be, do you really want to know if Fisk hired me to kill your guy? Be my lawyer.
Right.
And Matt wasn't going to stoop to that level.
Right. I agree.
But then he pulled the true devil out of him. And then he's like, the suspect was hitting his head, trying to get loose.
Yeah. So now, after that, we have episode 9.
Now, this is the part where I get sad because it was the end of the journey, but what an epic finale.
And here's the thing. It was epic because we got Punisher back.
The Punisher Daredevil team up.
We got a Punisher Daredevil team up. We had Punisher kill. I think in this episode alone, Punisher killed more people than all 3 Punisher movies combined.
The 2 movies and his 2 seasons too? Like the movie with Thomas Jane.
Maybe.
The movie with Ray Stevenson.
Right.
The 2 seasons and the Daredevil season he was on.
I don't know, man. There was nothing but every single time he was on the screen, he was literally killing somebody.
He was back to Punisher when we first saw him debut in Daredevil season 2.
Yes.
Like we saw him Incognito with the long hair, but he was back, short, buzz cut, Punisher logo, and when Matt walked in to his apartment to get away from, he knew it was coming, that Kingpin's guy, the British dude, was going to come kill him.
Right.
And then he's like, who's he talking to? Camera pans out. We got Frank Castle in full Punisher mode. and then we saw, he's like, I thought this wasn't your fight. And then you see the ball breaking respect and love-hate relationship the two of them have, even though they have different philosophies how to fight the bad guys. But man, I think that was the big hallway scene. We didn't really get that big hallway scene this year, but that was the epic fight. That was the moment we've been waiting for.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't keep doing that because then people expect every single season for something like that to happen. In this season, we got Punisher in full brutal mode.
Yeah.
He sits there and he was just like, you're in my way, I'm killing you.
What was great, we got Daredevil coming in through the ceiling.
Yes.
And Punisher coming in from it, taking out one by one his fanboys. And then I like that they kept the conflict in place between it, because they figure out which dirty cop killed Victor.
Right.
With Frank.
And all because of a tattoo.
All because of the tattoo. All because of the bullet that they found. And Frank, like, it was great how Frank stabbed his arm, and he's like, dude, you gotta do, because he thought he was finished. And then Matt just knocked him unconscious.
Well, yeah, because Matt's not going to kill him, right? He doesn't want to kill anybody.
But Punisher was having a field day. This was much his show as Daredevil. Well, he was only in two episodes.
I was just gonna say that
he was only in 2 episodes or
two episodes, I believe.
But he made the most of his screen time, because I'm glad they revamped the show, because you can read an interview somewhere with John Burchill where he walked away from the original Daredevil Born Again before they brought in a guy the showrunner from his show back to run Daredevil, because they knew the right tone. So I thought we were going to lead into Daredevil was going to get into a big fight. Oh, before we get to that, what about the other big return, the other big reveal? After their big fight, they escape. The grenade goes off, the explosion.
Karen showing up?
Oh, wow.
So Karen shows up. She came all the way from San Francisco, right? San Francisco?
She came from San Francisco. She's the one that called Frank. And Frank, of course, is Karen's one of the few people that he's going to listen to. If you remember Daredevil Season 2 and the Punisher show, because Karen played a big part in that show, too.
That's because they like coffee. Everyone there loves coffee.
But Frank likes his actual coffee, not what Luke Cage was doing. Well,
I don't know about that. I feel like, okay, so if anybody doesn't understand, doesn't know, coffee was a sexual innuendo, and you had coffee with someone, meaning that you slept with someone.
It started on Jessica Jones with Luke and Jessica. Yes. It carried over to Luke Cage, but
it carried over to all the Netflix shows.
But if you remember, Frank really loved his coffee, like the diner scene where
I don't know, man. I'm gonna tell you this: that whole bit where all three of them are in the room and they're talking about coffee. That wasn't Frank talking about real coffee. That was Frank.
That was jealousy and a lot of bull breaking.
Yes, yes.
I can see your point on that.
Okay. Now, so we get to the part where Kingpin says, "No more vigilantes, no more this, no more that." And what does he do after that press conference?
Becomes a dictator of New York.
Forget about being a dictator of New York. He takes the head of the commissioner while all these other cops are there that are part of his task force, and he just squeezes it. Now, I'm not talking about, like, he squeezes it like a freaking lemon, and it just pops, jaw goes one way, head goes the other way, blood everywhere. In my head, I'm like, okay, I'm not squeamish or anything like that. I felt that was too much. I think that went a little too far, and I didn't think that was needed in order to show off his strength. Like, we know the Kingpin is strong.
But you have to give Disney credit on their platform to let Marvel Studios and let the people running Daredevil Born Again go as far as they wanted, be graphic with the blood, the cursing.
Well, the thing is, the reason why Disney's doing that is because they want to merge both Hulu and Disney Plus into one app. And you see there are movies that are on Hulu that are also on Disney Plus. So it's like, okay, if you want the kids section, sign into the kids section.
But they knew Daredevil can't have any limits. It has to be brutal. It has to be bloody.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they took the handcuffs off. But yeah, that was Kingpin's big kill this season. That was worse than the door slam.
Yes. Okay, fine. It was worse than the door slam. But again, I feel like they could have done something else. He could have choked him to death.
See, but
he could have literally just kept punching him until his face turned into pulp. Squeezing a person like that is just, to me, it felt too much.
But you gotta like that it ended, martial law, his own city state. New York has become his own kingdom. Close the tunnels, shut down the bridges.
That's fine. I'm all for it. Here's my problem with it. Ready? How does this affect a movie that comes out next month with Thunderbolts? How does this affect with Spider-Man 4? How does this affect with any superhero that has to deal with New York?
Maybe different parts of the timeline.
Maybe, but at this point, you're just thinking, okay, did this happen before Kingpin or after Kingpin?
We got to find out. Now,
this is one of the reasons why I liked this season thus far. My overall opinion on the show was I felt like the ending was a little bit lackluster.
I disagree to a certain extent because if you remember the ending of season 1 and season 3, even especially season 3 where Kingpin was really ruthless, he got back to those ways in the second half here. What I liked here is like Matt eventually, won the war of those seasons. Kingpin won. The bad guy, the overall big bad won. Well, we're kind of left on a cliffhanger because Daredevil and Karen are watching from afar. Like Matt would literally go on a suicide mission
and that's when he turns around to Karen saying that we need to build a team. Now, who's on this team?
Seeds planted.
Yeah, seeds planted. But okay, we know that Frank is not dead because you need to watch further into the end of the episode because there's a mid-credit scene. And that's how you find out that Frank is not dead. But who's on his side? Are we bringing back Jessica Jones? Are we bringing back Iron Fist? Are we bringing back everyone?
Well, that's the speculation. I think.
Are we gonna have Sony let us borrow Spider-Man for 5 minutes?
Spider-Man might be a stretch, but I think we're definitely getting the Defenders for sure. If you remember Hawkeye and the build-up, seeds planted, is Kingpin really Kingpin really coming back? Until we saw that image on that phone, it was Vincent D'Onofrio truly coming back. Now, there's been...
I just figured it out. You ready for this?
Go for it.
The team that he's going to put together: Kamala Khan, Hawkeye, Kate Bishop,
Jessica
Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. All these people, put them together. Why not? Because you'll have the new school with the old school together.
And you have the street heroes.
And they're all street heroes. All of them are.
Actually, a Hawkeye Daredevil team up sounds epic. I have all for that.
You can send me the check, Marvel. I'll write the script for you, no problem.
But overall, welcome back, Daredevil. In a huge way. It was worth the wait. I'm sad it ended, but season 2 is in production now. Well done overall. You did a great job connecting to the Netflix show, like you had any choice anyway.
Well, okay. So, all jokes aside, Pancakes probably gives this a 10 out of 10. I, on the other hand, I'm kind of felt like this show ended as a mid-season finale, not as a series, not as a season finale. I feel like because originally, you have to understand, this show was supposed to be like 18 episodes long.
They split it.
But they split it in half and turned it into 2 seasons. So I feel like the reason why we stopped here is because this was supposed to be a mid-season ending. While as next week a week or 2 after they brought the show back, they would show off the rest of the stuff. So I just feel like that's the issue that I have with it.
Now, any predictions when we'll start seeing footage, trailers for season 2, Comic-Con?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying New York Comic-Con, which is probably going to be in like October of 2025. October, yeah. I don't think we'll see San Diego. I don't think we're going to see anything at San Diego. I do feel like we're going to either be at D23, which is usually held in around August, or we're going to see it at Comic-Con in New York around the September-October
Now,
because remember, that's only going to be 4 or 5 months before the show comes back.
Now, my hope is I hope season 2 is not the end of this journey. I hope by the time season 2 around.
No. The showrunner said it's indefinite. We're going to just keep making. So for now, we at least know, right now, we know that we're going to have season 2. But you will see that by the time season 2 kicks off, it's going to be ready to start preparing for season 3. And you know what? I'm kind of here for it only because that's how TV shows used to be. You knew that at this certain time of the year, that show is coming back. So now we know that in March of 2026, we're getting Daredevil again. And you know what? I'm pretty sure in March of 2027, we're going to have another season. And 2028, we're going to have another season. I don't think we're going to go more than 5 seasons, but I'm hoping for it.
Only 11 months to go to March 2026 for Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Daredevil Season 5 overall. I cannot wait. On that note,
let us know in the comment section down below what you guys think. Do you guys think that this was the same Daredevil as in Netflix? Was it different? Was it an amalgamation of, Disney and Netflix getting together their characters, putting them together and making Born Again? Let us know in the comment section what you guys think of all this.